Okay, so the campaign began with Solanum receiving a vision of past horrors and potential future horrors. The eclipse, this giant eldritch entity that came and destroyed the light for a time, but was beaten back. Solana believes the entity is coming once more, but finds that there is a way to stop it. He has a vision of a sunken tower that has partially fallen underground, glowing with light and restoring the world. So he collects a few allies through various means and sets out to find this thing. They saw a few relics of the old world and did battle with a giant lobster creature called the Horiodax, as well as some fishmen, before acid rain drove them into a cave. And that rain was a key symptom of the eclipse the first time. And so this sort of reaffirms the notion that this could be coming once again. At first, I believe it was Solanum, Ezra, and Og who went down underground, but then Indra and Lucius followed, and they found their way down into a subterranean forest full of tree roots, trees themselves that have grown in the absence of light, mushrooms, some of which are glowing, and all manner of strange and impenetrable woodland. They see that there is a way across and can see something glinting in the light ahead. So they begin to make their way towards their destination underground, avoiding the rain. When they did, they found a rotating, light-refracting disc that seems to spin and be part of something larger, though what that might be, they're unsure. And then you continued on into a very large open area that is much darker in this sort of clearing section. On the floor in front of you, you'll remember there were 5 small patches of glowing turquoise mushrooms, kind of set out like the pips on the 5th side of a d6, each about 10 to 20 feet apart from one another, and letting off a 5-foot radius patch of light. This room is filled with, like for some of you, head-high fog, though it doesn't seem to penetrate the mushroom, the sections of light that the mushrooms give. As you entered this area, a gigantic alabaster-colored spider came down from the ceiling. Its head was orange and spiked, as well as its legs, which were these hideous blood-stained spears. And it stands before you, Mother Tarantula, and bristles, preparing to strike. I don't think I missed any key important information, but if anything else comes up, we can just address it as we go. But for now, let's roll initiative.
Oh no.
Are you refusing to roll initiative?
Maybe. That is a 13 for Indra.
An 8 for Lucius.
I got a non-natural 20.
And a 15 for Ezra.
I'm going to roll that dice again. It just proved itself.
Is it one of mine?
Yeah, but not the white ones that I normally use for Yova and Makud. I was like, I'm going to choose one of these purple ones.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to dig out Og's sheet because I have it, and you may need him.
Probs. So the way to defeat this is if it sticks all of its legs into one person, it'll fall over like an 80-80 and we'll
That's
win.
what Og's here for.
Yeah.
And finally, okay. Solanum, you're up first. You notice that the spider is standing between the two patches of mushrooms at the back, and is beginning to come towards you, though it seems to be sort of moving around the mushrooms.
Interesting. Is there anything I can do? Ooh. 1 second. Oh, I have the perfect spell. How lovely. So, first of all, I think, I can't remember if I said, I think I might have, I decided that the Elvish word or something is going to be Hamahaki for the spider. Hamahaki. I actually have the perfect spell for this. So it looks like it's avoiding the mushrooms.
Yes, from what you can gather.
Okay. I think, so he plants his feet and speaking in the Sylvan tongue. Yes. He's going to start chanting something that probably sounds vaguely Finnish, but I don't have the words. And he's going to shove as it reaches a crescendo, he's going to shove the staff into the ground, and there are going to be these roots of energy that you see sort of whip and through around stones and stuff, and they're going to spread into both of the patches of mushrooms, and I'm going to cast plant growth. If you cast a spell using one action, choose a point within range. All normal plants within 100 feet of that radius, 100-foot radius centered on that point, so 200-foot diameter, become thick and overgrown. A creature moving through this area must spend 4 feet of movement for every one that it moves.
Okay, excellent. So you see around you, the clearing seems to almost press in, as though the forest was closing a grip.
I can exclude the area within us, so if it does affect us, I don't know of the size of the encounter room, but it doesn't have to press against us.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's big enough to where it wouldn't make a difference.
Sure.
But you can sort of see the vines and roots growing deeper.
Mm-hmm.
The mushrooms all begin to swell and grow like bulbous tubers. And instead of 5 feet radius, we'll say they now have a 10-foot radius. In fact, no, because it's 4 times, I guess, 20-foot radius. This room is very big, though. It's about 90 by 90.
Okay.
And so this actually kind of blocks the path in front of you, and the spider kind of recoils and begins moving around a long way around, sort of focusing on you and trying to stay clear. And there's a couple points with the center one, the center patch of mushrooms, where they actually overlap.
Okay. He will call out, "Strike the mushrooms from a distance. I believe it does not like it."
Okay.
Is that your turn, Dan?
That is my turn, I think.
Very well. Ezra.
Range is not really my thing.
So the spider.
Well, hold your breath. I just didn't want you could run up and hit it. I just didn't want to advise that.
The spider is a good 70 feet away from you at the moment.
Can I move in such a way that I think I could cut off its trying to come around?
Yeah, you could interpose yourself between you and your ally. So imagine this room is round, and it is sort of crawling like half on one of the wall. Like one side of its feet are on the walls moving around, and one side are on the floor, so it can sort of like squeeze past the mushrooms. And you can sort of like move to where it's gonna hit you before your allies, definitely along that wall.
All right, and if I have to, I can, dash to make that happen as far as
Yeah,
movement.
definitely. You wouldn't need to dash. Like if you wanted to just make it so that it would get to you before everyone else, you wouldn't need to dash. If you want to actually stop it in its tracks, then that will be a dash.
I'd like to try to stop it in its tracks.
Okay. So you can get up to within 10 feet of it,
All right.
and it will stop and rear back. Is that your turn?
Yes.
Indra.
Okay, so Solanum just told us to hit the mushrooms from far away, and then Ezra ran up in front of it. Are they a group of mushrooms that she could shoot?
Yeah, you could definitely.
That's I don't know how big the effect will be, but so like she's aiming for like the back of the spider as she like raises her hand and like the her packed weapon forms in her hand, the bow made of wind and air.
Okay.
So she's going to shoot like a cluster of mushrooms near the back of the spider.
Okay, yeah. So it's sort of, this is, like I said, the 5-sided dice. Like it's in between the two left-hand ones. So you could shoot the ones that are on the far side of it.
Okay. I want to, she is trying to avoid Ezra being caught in any kind of blast, but she doesn't know how big the blasts are. So she's going to go for the furthest from Ezra that can still hit the spider. Is it a roll?
Yeah.
Okay. That will be an 18 to hit.
Okay.
Rolling damage. That will be only 6 points of damage.
Okay. So your arrow flies, and as you watch, it sort of passes over one set of mushrooms to hit the one behind it. And as it flies into the sort of cylinder of light created by these mushrooms, the arrow just disappears from view and then reappears on the far side once it's passed out of that light, and then disappears from view again. And you just see the mushrooms sort of ripple and like kind of fly apart where it hits, but you don't see the arrow.
Does anything happen to the spider when I do that?
Nothing happens to the spider when you do that. Though the light from the mushrooms that you hit seems to grow a bit brighter as the sort of inner flesh is exposed.
Uh-huh.
But the spider doesn't react.
Okay. She's going to look at Solanum. Like, do I shoot the mushrooms again?
Okay, so they didn't kick off spores or anything.
No.
The arrow passed through them, and where they split, more light is spilling out from them.
Where they split, more light is spilling from them. The arrow didn't pass through them. The arrow struck them, but when the arrow was in the light generated by the mushrooms, it was invisible to you.
Right. That is interesting.
Do I shoot the spider or more mushrooms? I only have 6 seconds, I think.
Yes,
Hit this. Strike the spider. I think.
Okay.
I was expecting something different.
The second attack is going to be a 21 to hit.
A 21 will hit.
And that will be 8 points of damage.
Okay. So your arrow flies and just strikes the spider in one of the joints between its sort of armored carapace, and it lets out a shriek and sort of like stumbles slightly. Oh, sorry.
I should have done this beforehand, but I'm going to bonus action cast Hex
Okie doke.
on the spider. It will have disadvantage on strength saving throws.
Strength.
Or strength ability checks.
Very nice. In that case, it is Lucius's go.
Yeah, seeing that these arrows didn't really do too much, he's just gonna follow what Soul said. Snap his jump bar in half and string back an arrow, but alas, I rolled a 6, so I'm assuming that does not hit.
A 6 misses, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that'll be it for now then.
Okie dokie. Then it is Mother Tarantula's turn. Infuriated, she takes 2 steps forward, and her mandibles kind of twitch and then slam down towards Ezra. That is going to be a 21 to hit.
That's a hit.
In which case, I'll need a Constitution saving throw, please. And you take 13 points of piercing damage.
That's a 16 on my save.
Okay, that's a success. So you can see like there's venom dripping from the spider's kind of mandibles, but the bite isn't enough to actually inject that into you. And then it is going to stab down with one of its gigantic spear-like leg protrusions, but that's only a 10 to hit.
Yeah. That is a miss.
Og will let out a mighty roar of fury and charge towards the spider, running up beside you and striking it. That is going to be 14 to hit, which is a miss, and an 18 to hit, which does hit. And he rolled max damage.
Nice.
15. Okay. And then we're back to the top with Solanum's turn.
So how far away is the beginning of the mushrooms? Like within the movement?
The first mushroom is 30 feet away from you, ish.
Okay.
In fact, we'll say 25.
I have 35 feet movement being wood off anyway. It's fine.
Did he attack twice? Sorry.
Yes, you missed the first one.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. Thank you for checking.
So Solanum's like brows like come together, furrowed, like what strange behavior is this? And he's going to start like hobbling towards the mushrooms, like up to like right up to them. Does he disappear?
So is he stepping into the light, or is he sort of like?
So are they excluding this light in the 20-foot radius because they're
Yeah.
massive now?
Yeah.
And no one else has gone into that, including the spider.
No one has gone into it yet.
Just the arrow.
Yeah.
Yes, he will move to the edge of the. Is it like a green glowy light or a white light?
It's turquoise.
Turquoise light. And he will aim to step across the threshold.
Okay. As soon as you step into it, you feel like a gentle warmth. You feel slightly invigorated. Everyone else, Solanum disappears. Though from here, you're able to see through the fog perfectly clearly. And you can see all your allies, even though some of them might be short enough to where they're almost entirely beneath the level of the fog. In addition, if you've taken any damage, you heal 1 hit point.
I have not, but thank you. I'm sure it feels lovely.
Yeah, exactly. And spider clearly cannot see you.
Interesting. He like steps into it, and I imagine it's like investigating the mushroom, and then like it's like there's something very strange with these mushrooms, and like and I guess no one looks, or like no one can
so
see him.
your voice goes around the chamber, but
yeah,
I cannot see you.
Sorry, you're not
Jesus
sure.
Christ,
God.
that scared me. Oh.
He is going to shout, I think this would offer some respite. And then he's going to cast Fairy Fire on the giant spider. Be it that we should see you more easily. And he's going to wave his staff and fairy fire it. And
It's a 9 on its save.
don't believe that's going... Because it's dex, right? And it
Yeah.
still got a 9? Okay, I thought it was going to be super dexterous. Just roll poorly. Yeah, spell save DC is 15, so it is fairy fired. I think he's going to match the light.
Yeah. So you
color
see these,
on it.
I imagine it's like turquoise kind of wisps that sort of like curve around the edges of it, making it very clear in the fog. It probably looks like a nightclub, like sort of like that foggy, stroby type, but essentially makes the spider much easier to see. Is that your turn, Solanum?
Yes.
Ezra.
2 strikes at the spider with advantage, correct? Because of the fairy fire?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is going to be a 17 to hit.
17 to hit.
Yes.
That hits.
For 11 points of damage on the first hit.
Yep.
And it's going to be a 16 to hit.
That hits.
For a whopping 5 points of damage.
Every little helps.
Did you do it with advantage because of fairy fire?
Yeah, I hit.
Okay,
I just
cool.
rolled poorly on the damage die.
Okay.
The spider, you kind of cut into the mandibles, not quite enough to sever them, but enough to where it's like a very deep, painful looking wound. And there's sort of like blood and a bit of the sort of venom from where it's held in the mandibles kind of bubbles out and drips down it. Indra.
Indra is going to follow Salandam into the lights. And she's going to go, "Whoa, it is really bright in here." And I'm going to shoot the spider. First one is going to be a 25 to hit.
A 25 hits.
And a 24 to hit.
24 hits.
All right, so that is a D8 plus D6. Now, that will be 11 points of piercing damage on the first with 5 necrotic and 8 piercing. 12 piercing, 2 necrotic on the second.
Okay.
And is like the entire chamber like lit up while we're in the light of the mushrooms, or is it just like
so it's as though
it's like super dark vision?
Yeah, it's like putting on swimming goggles in this room. Like everything that was hard to see is clear.
We need to take more of these mushrooms when we leave.
I thought the same. And he's probably like studying one of them.
Solanum's just doing his impression of a gardening show while there's like a giant monstrous spider attacking. It's fantastic. Lucius.
Imagine with this fog that's rolling across the ground, Lucius is quite small. You could probably only see the tips of his horns as he kind of bobs up and down trying to see out of this fog and this creature in the distance. He'll sort of give this snarled sort of look in the direction of these bright mushrooms. It's not seeming too keen on wandering into them. But yeah, I'll fire off another arrow. 21 to hit.
21 hits.
For a whopping 2 points of damage.
2 points.
What's your modifier for dexterity? Is it?
No, +2.
So you can add that to. Is it because you have that's your dex mod, right?
Yes.
So you can add that to your damage as well.
On a crossbow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
any ranged attack.
If you're not throwing it like a javelin, that's strength. But if you're
okay.
shooting it, then you get dex.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then plus, I guess 4 total then. I didn't think it applied to a crossbow.
The big bucks.
I think it's meant to be like that you aim it better or something.
Yeah.
A dexterous thing.
Sure,
you can
I'll
sort of
take
track
it.
a target better and
You
shoot
hit a
them.
more you get like less of a glancing blow and more of a dead-on strike. Is that your turn?
Yeah, for the time being. I don't have
Inspiration
nothing.
spells. Okay.
Yeah.
You see the spider kind of recoils a bit from the light, and her sort of like a couple of the arrows drop out of her, and she sort of like kind of shivers slightly, and it sort of like lets out this clicking, clacking noise. Its wounds heal slightly.
It's within the light, or it's not?
It's
and
out
it's
of
still
the light.
healing.
Yeah.
Okay, it still
It's out of
heals.
the light.
Interesting.
And then it is going to take a stab at both Og and Ezra with 2 of its feet. Ezra, that is going to be a 19 to hit you,
That's a miss.
and that's a natural 20 on Og.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Grave cleric, where are you?
How about a queen that's never here when you need her?
So it is going to be 10 points of damage total to Og on that. But you see here's the kind of spikes and errant, like kind of serrated sections of the legs that you can see in the image on my overlay. Now, like scratch up his chest as the large piercing section comes down and kind of strikes his shoulder. You see that blood just begins spilling down Og's front. And he's going to be taking some bleed damage at the end of the round. Which it is not. He will take deep. He takes a max, so that's a 4 damage.
Oof.
He doesn't get to reduce that, I suppose.
He will get to reduce the piercing, but not the bleeding. Though I did say, I didn't actually say he was raging, but that's just on me.
Presumed.
Yeah. Rage is set to always on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Og will shout angrily and be raging. And then on that was actually, he shouldn't have taken that damage yet. It's his turn. So he is going to take his strikes. That's a natural 1 on Og on his first one, and a 19 on the second, which does hit. And so he will deal 9, 10, 11 damage. And then he will take his bleeding damage. And then we're back to the top, Solana.
So you said the spider regenerated?
Mm-hmm.
Most, some, all of the damage done to it?
Small amount.
A small amount. Okay. So Indra is somewhere close. So Sol is like kind of watching both the fight and what is going on. I hope everyone rolled with advantage. I guess I forgot to.
I was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Indra, my dear, I believe the spider does not like the mushrooms. So we either need to bring the spider to the mushrooms or the mushrooms to the spider. If I was to pull off, or I've watched like when she shot some of the mushroom bits, do they still give off light after they have left the the mushroom proper?
Why don't you make me a quick, easy, either nature or perception check or investigation, whichever you prefer of those 3.
Nature is an 18, perception is a 22.
Okay. So you can see you're not standing by the mushrooms that were shot.
No.
But you can see in the distance, like the pieces of mushroom that have like the pieces that sort of fell off and have been severed are still lit, but they are dimming relatively quickly.
Okay.
But they still retain some light for a short amount of time. But the like pieces that are still rooted but like broken are brighter. So.
Okay. Right. Indra, if you're able to launch any of these mushrooms towards it, upon your projectiles, it might work. I might just go speak to Og And he starts like hobbling his way from you closer towards Og.
Yeah.
And he's like, Blood Bear, can you drag the spider into the mushrooms? And
Og
like,
sort of looks over his shoulder. I'll do my best.
good. And now I'm sort of, I don't know, halfway in between where I was and towards the spider combat. I am going to. Ooh, guidance would help him, actually. I'll guide Og. And I say, the great oak wills it. And he'll have guidance on him for his attempt to grapple the guy.
Ezra.
I imagine it would probably be in my best interest then if the spider is going to be moved, that I'm going to want to disengage and move back towards the spiders.
Sure.
I mean, you could help. Or whatever. I didn't want to dictate what you did, but that's why I asked Og rather than you.
That's what I'll do then. I will hold until he starts trying to move, and then I will assist him or whatever in bringing that spider back.
Sure. Indra then.
How far away is the spider from Indra at this point?
From you, it would be pretty much on the cusp of a 30-foot.
On the cusp of a 30-foot. Okay. So Indra could gather up some mushroom and go and shove it in its face then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, that's what I wanted. I didn't want you to get close to it necessarily. I didn't want to say you should get close to it, but that's really what I wanted, was you to go shove it in his face.
Yes, but Indra is going, she will kind of grab up like a big clump of the mushroom and run over there.
Sure.
Does the spider react whenever she like throws it in its face? She like gets right up on.
The spider lets out like this horrific shriek and begins like backpedaling very quickly. On its turn, it's going to be trying to move backwards away from you. Doesn't look to take any damage from the light, but you can see like it's closing its eyes and kind of turning its head away, and trying to kind of crawl up the wall.
Was that my action to do so?
I would probably say so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to drop half of like the clump of mushrooms that I have in my hands, and then I'm going to cast Misty Step to appear behind it and kind of like pinch it in.
Oh, very good.
Nice.
So you appear behind it just as the spider's kind of like turning towards you, and it's sort of like, you see it rear back again. It begins backing away from you, kind of back towards the actual clumps of mushrooms.
Indra gives it like a little wave with her blue fingers, all like, there is no running from us.
That is insanely creepy. Aloysius.
Watch all of this with a bit of a smirk on my face. Seems this spider doesn't like these very much, and I'll swing my jambar over my shoulder, letting the string sort of hang, and be like, "Ugh, remember the time you crashed them god's skulls together? Well, use that strength, my friend. I'll give him an inspiration die to help him out on his thingamabob there, and
that's your bonus.
yeah. And,
do you have night hand?
No, I don't. I was thinking that, but I don't have it. I guess with that, actually, I'll just move. How close is it? Can I move up to it?
To you, yeah, it's still probably, because you haven't gone into the mushrooms.
Yeah, right.
So you're probably still about 70 feet from it.
All right, I'll just take a dash action then to get up as close as I can to it.
Okay. So you get to about 10 feet away.
Gotcha. That'll be it.
Okay. So the spider, now terrified by being surrounded by light, is going to take one stamp at Indra and one stamp at Ezra with its back foot as it's sort of like trying to kind of pick its way around and find a way to get away from you all. So Indra, where is that? It's a 14 to hit.
That will miss.
Ezra, that'll be a nice 24.
That is a hit.
Okay. That's gonna be 8 piercing damage, and then you are bleeding as well. So these kind of spines and spikes that are hanging off the legs rake across your skin, and just blood begins like pouring down you. So that's happening. Og will step up and, using his axe so that he doesn't have to touch the spiky feet, will hook one of the spider's kind of legs in the sort of joint section and begin pulling it into the light. So he is gonna first roll his. That is a really bad roll, but so that's a 5 plus his athletics, which is an 8.
He's got the D4 from guidance.
Yeah, he's got, so that's
He's
13.
raging, right?
Plus guidance, 14.
If he's raging, he has advantage too.
Oh,
on
yes,
strength checks.
advantage. Okay. That is much better. Okay, so 14 plus 8 is 22. Plus 1 from guidance is 23. Plus
D8.
the D8 inspiration, which is 7. So that's 29. And the spider. Pardon?
The spider will have disadvantage.
The spider will have disadvantage. That's correct. The spider crit on one of his, but with the disadvantage, only gets a 16.
Hooray!
You just see like the muscles kind of like tense around Og's arms and shoulders and chest. He begins dragging this thing backwards. There's the spider kind of like crippled by the light of the hex, and Og sort of laughing and grunting as he is inspired by Elucius and guided by Solanum, drags the spider into the light, and it immediately rears back, like head and legs kind of swinging around wildly. 3 of its legs kind of collapse in and like pull into its chest, and it sort of rolls and falls onto its back, flaying wildly, unable to really do much. Now, Og will take 4 points of bleeding damage, and Ezra will take 3 points of bleeding damage. But actually, as that's not actually true for Og. As he steps into the light, that 1 hit point heals him, and you see all the bleeding wounds just immediately kind of seal up, and he stops bleeding.
Is Ezra standing in the light of the mushroom that Indra dropped? Because it has, I don't know how big the radius of the light is, but I did kind of go up.
That's true. It's only a small amount, and she disengaged, so she
That's
she
true.
disengaged in that direction
Yeah.
to aid. So that would have given him advantage anyway, actually. So Ezra, you can go now if you want to do something else.
I guess just start moving towards the spider.
Okay. So are you going into the light as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So disregard that 3 damage, and you heal 1 hit point. As your wounds are likewise sealed up. You can take an action if you like.
Can I attack the?
Of course. You have advantage.
Yes.
You would anyway, but you also have extra advantage.
25 to hit
25 hits.
for 6 points of damage. And Kraken.
Oh, very nice.
You double dice, double the damage.
Up to you. Same as Zach.
11 points of damage.
11. Very nice. Your wounds cut into the spider, and you can see that where normally, or last round, it began to kind of heal those wounds. This time, there is no healing as it's trapped in the light, and it's struggling to get back on its feet, but is also struggling to get out of the light and can't really make a decision. Solanum.
Seems we will need to be carrying some of these mushrooms. He is going to frostbite, maybe. So he's kind of still studying some of the mushroom pieces and like just trying to inspect them, how he might like keep it alive, like with druidcraft and things.
Yeah.
For a longer journey to light their way, but he will throw an errant frostbite for a con save.
Okay. That is going to be a 12.
It fails, so
Okay.
it will take 2d6, and the next it says weapon attack roll, so the next attack roll, I presume, has disadvantage before the end of its next turn, because it is gold. He does 4 ice damage.
4 icy damage. Ezra. Silent but deadly.
Oh, no, I'm not silent. I was muted.
Muted but deadly.
Muted, but no. I think I'm going to channel Divinity, Nature's Wrath. As an action, you can cause spectral vines to spring up and reach for a creature within 10 feet of you that you can see. It must succeed on a strength or a dex saving throw of 15, its choice. Or be restrained.
They are the same. Though if it's its choice, it will do dex because it doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a natural 2, my friend.
It is restrained. And it can repeat its saving throw at the end of each of its turns, freeing itself.
That is awesome. In which case, it is the turn of Indra.
Indra is going to shoot it with her bow.
So you see it's just like struggling on its back, and now these vines just like grab its legs and wrap around its body, just like holding it in place.
That is going to be a 21 to hit.
Hits.
That one is going to be 12 points piercing, 2 points necrotic. And the next one is going to be 25 to hit with 11 points piercing and 4 points necrotic.
Very nice.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 11.
It's starting to look really quite rough. It's clearly in shock and terrified. It's bleeding and damaged. It's like holding its legs strangely where your arrows have struck and axes have cut into them. Lucius.
Oops, oh no, no. Now that I'm a little bit closer, see Indra drop another arrow on this thing, I will do the same, as it looks like it's succumbing here a little bit. 14.
14 just misses, I'm afraid. Your arrow just bounces off one of the sections of it that is still well armored.
Damn.
Nobody rolling with advantage, Morgan?
Yes, I was. My other one was a 3.
It is okay, Odysseus. You can get him next time.
Yes. I don't like spiders anyway. Just kill this damn thing. Yeah, that's it.
It is. It is this dumb thing's turn, and so it is going to. It's restrained, so it can't do anything. Correct.
No.
Movement is 0. I can never get them. The right
Yeah,
way.
and attack rolls against it have advantage. Its attack rolls have disadvantage, and it has disadvantage on dex saves
Can it break out at some point, or
at the end of its turn.
oh, at the end of a turn? Nice.
It can make a save, but has a disadvantage on dex save. So
I think is Og the only one that's near it, or did he back away?
No, Og's still holding it at this point.
Yeah.
And
So it can attack, but just with disadvantage.
then it's gonna. It is going to, seeing that it's sort of being held, it's able to kind of wiggle its thorax around a bit and is going to try and fire off a web at, we're going to say Ezra. But that's going to be a 14. Oh, it's disadvantage as well. So, yeah, 14.
that's a miss.
Okay, so you just see this kind of like globule of webbing fly towards you and then kind of open out like a net gun, flying towards you, but you're able to just duck under it fairly easily. With its other attack, it's going to try and slam into Og with a leg, but that's a natural 4 on the first one, so it's a miss. And with that, it is going to try and break free. It has disadvantage either way. For a that is going to be an 18.
That is a success.
So its legs just kind of thrashing around, the spiky sections just begin ripping through the vines and pulling it apart, and it begins to free itself. Solanum.
Hold it down, Og. Hold it down.
Oh, it's actually Og's turn. I keep skipping him.
That's true.
Yeah, he is going to keep holding it.
He can possibly still attack it with one hand, but I don't know if this thing is one-handed. But
No, it's
maybe
a
he's
big two-handed situation.
just headbutt it. Just ow, right in the knee. I don't know if I have anything to particularly help with keeping it in place. Nope, not really. So he'll just shout what he shouted. I think I'm going to try frostbite it again. So could it make a Constitution save?
Constitution save. 17.
It passes.
So you
Shakes off the ice crystals.
you just try and freeze it, and it's like thrashing to the point where the sort of freezing effect is generating enough movement and friction and that sort of thing for it to sort of slough off it. Is that your turn, sir?
Yes.
Ezra.
I'm going to, as a bonus action, cast Ensnaring Strike.
Very nice.
And yeah, the next time I hit a creature with a weapon attack, before the spell ends, it basically has to succeed on a DC 15 strength save.
Very
or
well.
B. So let's see if I hit.
Yeah,
That is an 18.
An 18 hits.
So it needs to succeed on a strength save or be restrained.
That is going to be a 13.
That's a fail.
So as it kind of rips through these vines, you kind of slice into it, and imagine the roots sort of like just explode from the wound and just recut, like fresh roots and vines recouple with the ones that were dying back, and pin it down once again.
And that is 8 points of damage from the strike itself. And at the start of its turn, it's going to take a d6 of damage.
Okay.
All right. And my second attack is going to miss.
Awesome. Lucius.
Actually,
Yeah, I was say skipped.
Oh, I skipped Indra. My apologies.
Actually, it is my turn. I know it's going to be boring, but I'm going to shoot it. That's 20 to hit with 11 points piercing and 2 points necro. And that one might miss. 17.
A 17 hits.
Okay, that is 7 piercing and 3 necro.
Okay. So this thing, you see it begin to like cough up violent blood, and its movements begin to slow. It is very much on the ropes. Lucius.
I'd charm this damn thing if it was a bit prettier, but it's uglier than a hyena in heat. I say. I will do vicious mockery. I need a wisdom save. DC 15.
Wisdom save. That, my friend, is a natural 1.
8 points of damage and disadvantage on its next attack.
Describe how you insult this thing to death.
I called it uglier than a hyena in heat.
So, as you say that, I imagine there's a physical, magical manifestation of that kind of force of personality that you have. And it sort of wraps its tendrils around Mother Tarantula and just strangles the last of the life out of her. And she slowly curls up, legs pointing inwards into a small spidery ball, a very large spidery ball. My apologies.
I'll look over at Saul. A question, perhaps. If a creature like this was so afraid of the mushrooms, why was it here?
I was wondering the very same thing.
Could be just stupid, I suppose.
We may have surprised it somewhat. If these mushrooms continue, maybe we will remain safe. And you are much stronger than you let on. And he taps the giant husk of the spider. I presume he has come slightly out of the invisible area of the thing. Not many that could kill with a word. And he kind of gives you a friendly smile.
I slay the people.
I'm sure I would have heard about you before now if that were true.
You mean you haven't heard of me? Well,
I have now.
well, good. Yes, everybody hears of me. Or they will, at least at some point. I promise.
He's going to hobble his way towards wherever Ezra is. You have the gifts, girl. The way that you use these vines, and I presume they're lying around or still entangling the creature.
I imagine because of where you are and because of the plant growth and because of the situation, they're still slowly crushing the spider. It's going to take days to do it, but they're still working.
You speak the words and Yaroon listens.
I didn't nap through all of your lessons.
Only some. But you, someone listens to you when you speak.
Someone does?
And he was just about to point upwards with his staff, towards where the constellations would be. More than one person, perhaps. And then he does motion upwards. Your words are heard. And he sort of is beaming and kind of lightly steps past you, and you can tell that he's quite happy with your display. And then he's going to try and figure out how to keep one of these mushrooms alive while we walk, if he can.
Yeah, make me a nature check.
I shall do.
Indra is off like playing with one of the ones that she tore up. Like she's like getting like a chunk of it and then like tossing it and trying to sneak up on the Lucius and Og, like hiding in like the lights of the mushrooms, and then being all like as like the light fades. About how long do they last after she's like cut them?
After you wait, it's a couple of minutes.
Okay.
But you get
waiting quickly.
you do still heal 1 hit point every 6 seconds you're in there.
Nice.
How long can we stay in here?
Forever. I rolled a 16 on my nature check.
Okay, so with some druid craft, you can kind of like gather up 1 or 2 of the mushrooms and like a section of dirt, and sort of pack
Put it in a
into
satchel
little
or something.
potted version for yourself
Mm-hmm.
that you can maybe have someone carry for you.
Possibly. It may prove useful in the future. I think I've got something here, and like I imagine it's like a satchel or something, or a pouch.
Yeah.
Now has 1 or 2 mushrooms in.
Yeah, like if you wanted, you could just put it on your bag, in your bag or whatever, like in a sort of section or however you want to do it.
Sure.
You can do it.
As long as I tend to it every now and again, we should be able to keep at least a small token of this grove. Does anyone wish it in particular?
To hold them?
To carry them.
I can carry them. Or do you want to carry them?
I mean, they make it bright, and I do not like the dark.
Are they edible? I like edible mushrooms.
Welcome you to try. We could try cooking some of them.
The rest of you can see in the dark. I would not mind carrying the mushrooms that glow.
He will hand you over or pot it directly into a pouch or something that you hold. And here, a memory of the light.
How much healing? Sorry.
Nope. That is all I was going to say.
So with the 1 mushroom that you're carrying, or maybe 1 or 2, like you can feel the light and you can see it, and it's warm. It's not, I'm afraid, going to be enough to heal your hit point around.
Well, I was just curious, like the whole like.
Yeah, the clumps are like 5 by 5 feet, and that's enough to heal you 1 hit point around. So
okay. Still, I think it is it is valuable as a mushroom.
But if you say planted it and then let it grow, then you could have a grove of these nice, pleasant light mushrooms.
I do not have to be in the dark if we run out of light. If I have these,
he nods. Lucius, do you want to try cut us some for consuming?
I figure perhaps you might know a bit more. I just, the mushroom burgers that Indra makes sometimes, they're quite tasty, and there's other things that, I just like mushrooms. Some of them make me trip balls, but besides that, I figured it's a bit of, worth a chance. But I just don't want the poison. I've heard of the ones that, drop dead, and I don't want to die, so.
Can I, with my nature checks, or make another nature check or something, do I get the intention that these would not be good for eating? No?
You get the impression these will not have any adverse effects should they be ingested.
The world holds many mysteries, and one such is taste, until we have tried it. I don't think something that would heal would hinder you.
Oh, good point. Well, perhaps me and Ezra can cook up a fine dinner tonight, then. We're professional cooks.
Absolutely. Yes. We are professionals.
Perhaps that clump over there, it looks ripe for harvesting, and he kind of just points at some clump that might be easy for us to take and...
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll
You-
gather
you-
up a nice batch.
Yeah, you can get enough for a good meal. And I imagine you maybe stay until you're all fully healed. A few minutes. That's up to you.
That would be nice.
You just relax on this bed of mushrooms.
Yep.
You
I'm just-
know. Oh, sorry. So go ahead.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
you go.
But I was going to tell you about a story I once heard. Well, actually, I didn't quite hear it, but I had this friend once. His name was Rats McGuffins. I don't know if I ever told you his name or not, but he's this long-haired blonde fellow with a bushy blonde beard, and well, he used to grow mushrooms too in his backyard. He always made it keep it a secret. We couldn't tell other people about his mushrooms, but we'd cook them up sometimes, and well. One time we cooked a few too many, and I seen the one that was there. It was a bit black, didn't quite look right, but he insisted it was good. It was good, and he died. Just saying.
I feel we may fare better than him. Sorry to hear of such loss.
Yes. R.I.P. R.I.P. Yes, something like that. Anyway, yes. For Rats, he was a good man.
The thing that intrigues me most about this story is he just died. Was there anything
Yes.
to do with the mushrooms, or was he like stabbed?
What is this strange voice I hear in the air? I think it is an omniscient presence here.
It's the mushrooms.
That's the mushrooms. They speak to me, son. They like my stories.
If you say so. Can I give a cursory glance to the spider as people are resting and healing up?
Absolutely.
As being crushed. I'm gonna say a few words in Sylvan or something over it because it seemed to die in a very panicked and awful way, and he just wants to put it to rest in that way. Just
Yeah, you see like the blood and venom mixing and dripping beside you, and you speak the words, and you get a good impression from it.
something along the lines of, "You must have lived a long time to have grown so large. Now is your time to move on." And then he'll, I don't know, clap Og on the shoulder. A blood bear is worth an opponent many times its size. You have proved this today.
I'll try and prove it again tomorrow.
He'll tap one of the legs. I imagine it's made of almost steel, chitin kind of.
Very much so.
Coating. If I were you, I would perhaps grab one of those. They are deadly enough to be used by a warrior such as yourself.
Grins and takes his axe and begins hacking at one. Fashions himself a lovely spiked club.
Good. He's just gonna walk through the grove that he has made ridiculously big while people heal up until people are ready.
How long do we spend here?
I think that's down to how much Jade needs to heal up.
If we're taking a short rest, that would be fine with me.
I don't know if I need a full short rest. I was down about 30 some hit points.
So it would take 30 some minutes for you to come back.
Yeah.
At that point, we might as well take another 30 so that I can gather the rest of my strength back. Just saying. And also, it is nice in here. There is lots of light. I am not such in a hurry to leave it.
We can take the time.
Yep, fine with that.
All right.
I'll just potter around for that time.
So, you can take yourselves a short rest, heal up, take a moment to breathe.
Indra is just going to wander the mushrooms because she thinks it's funny that she disappears.
Just imagine her popping up every now and then, just try to scare me.
Yeah. Every once in a while,
I think just stop that.
out of the every time she like steps out of the light, she goes booga booga.
Can't even get to the restaurant here this evening.
And so once you're finished resting, you push on. You see there's a sort of tunnel that leads a bit further down and opens into another section of forest, and you travel it for a little while before the forest eventually begins to thin and opens out into a sort of more traditional cave, rocky and empty. And you see that just at the edge of the forest is a fairly small kind of lagoon, like a little pool of water, relatively round. And as you approach, you're sort of still within the tree line, and you can see that there appears to be some kind of fight going on. You see initially these three creatures. They look very strange, like panthers, but with 6 legs, and they have 2 kind of spiked tentacles growing from their shoulders. In addition, you notice that they have these white painted markings all up the front legs and shoulders, like this sort of twisted, moving mark. The single opponent. Sorry, fucking motorbikes going. Honestly, I don't know what happens. Weekend comes and it's just motorbike central in my window. So their opponent is equally strange. A gigantic, brilliant turquoise snake with 2 huge wings made of feathers, and it is losing. You see that there are 3 of these panther creatures lying dead around it, and it snaps and bites. But the panthers are gaining on it. They are latching on with tentacles and teeth alike and slowly bringing it down. And you see like one kind of sink its jaws into the snake creature's neck and begin kind of thrashing. Make me a history check. Whoever is proficient in history.
Oh, whoever's proficient. Oh, I am actually. That's amazing. It's still a horrible roll, though. 10.
You have never heard of this creature, I'm afraid.
19.
You have heard of this creature. Solanum, did you roll?
I'm not actually proficient in history because druid.
Well, for the purposes of this, Ezra, maybe you read a book on it. Maybe you.
I think he's forgotten more things than most people know.
Maybe
So.
someone gave you a lecture on it a while ago, and he's sort of forgotten.
Yeah.
You have heard tell of this. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like
It's a motorbike.
It's so weird.
The snake opens his mouth and.
But it's not during the week. Friday night it begins. Monday morning it ends. It's really weird. Yeah, this creature is a Kuatl, a guardian of the light. They fought alongside everyone else against the eclipse. And as far as Solanum seemed concerned when he gave you that lecture, every single one of them was dead. And as far as he knew, they were extinct and forgotten. along with so many other creatures of the light.
All right, I will relay that information.
So we need to save it then, yes?
I would say so.
About how far away is the closest mean little kitty?
It is kind of on the slightly far side of the this little lagoon, so I'm going to say 60 feet.
Okay. Indra summons her longbow packed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
With her bonus action, she is going to transfer the hex to the kitty, and she's going to try and shoot it.
Okie dokie. Can you please roll with disadvantage?
Yes, does a 15 hit?
A 15 does hit. And so you fire the arrow and you see that it is sort of a blur. And when you try and focus on it, you can't quite see where it is. But as soon as the arrow strikes, its form solidifies and it howls in pain and turns to stare at your group.
I am not fooled by your tricks. That is 9 piercing and 4 necrotic.
9 piercing, 4 necrotic.
Do I still have disadvantage on the next attack?
Not against this one.
Okay. That's only a 14 though.
14 does hit.
Hooray! I didn't think that would. That is 7 points piercing, 3 necrotic.
Okay.
Do you need those broken up?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. And everyone else can act, and then we'll roll initiative.
Very well. I will advance some distance and call out. He doesn't know what. He's just going to call out in like Druidic or something. Creature that I have forgotten, that the world has forgotten. We are here to help. Or Sylvan or Druidic or whatever. Some sort of natural language. He doesn't know if it's going to understand or not, but he, thinks it helps. And then I'm going to cast Frostbite when I'm within 60 feet
Very
or
well.
so of one of those creatures. So,
interesting. Out of character knowledge while you're... I'll roll the save actually first.
That's okay.
That's a 3. Con save, so 5.
Yes.
It still takes half, though.
Fine.
The displaced beast has avoidance, so it will take half on the damage. Interestingly, a few facts about Coatls. Firstly, they're my favorite D&D monster. And secondly, they speak all languages. So
I knew they would speak like Celestial. I didn't know if they spoke all languages.
All languages, and they have telepathy.
I did remember that as well, but I have no idea if my character did. But he would speak to it, because I'm sure it is a beautiful creature.
It is.
I did 7 damage. Frosty damage to one cat that has disadvantage on its next attack.
Very well. Ezra, Lucius. Og is just going to charge up. He has nothing of range.
Disadvantage on strength things again.
Okay.
For the hex.
Good to know.
I guess seeing Indra do this, Lucius would do the same thing, kind of swing his bow back around, and I got disadvantage, right?
You have disadvantage if you attack any of them except the one that
she hit.
Indra has hit.
I'll just hit the same one since that's the one she's attacking. I'm kind of following her lead on this one, so. Hey, that's better. 16, 20.
Hits.
You'll see him pull back this bow. And he seems to whisper this infernal, guttural sort of language. When it fires 3, I'm going to burn one of my inspiration to use my psychic blades, which gives it a total of 16 damage. 6, 8 is psychic.
Very nice.
Ezra will charge.
Excellent. If everyone's cool, we could just keep the same initiative and swap out the spider for the displacer beasts.
Mhm.
Sure.
Just
Whatever you want, it's my dude.
keeps us from rolling a new initiative.
I'm feeling very lethargic today.
Solanum.
I have a feeling they have very high decks, but also with the benefits that they have, I think this might be useful. He's going to attempt. He will call out to the displacer beasts, mainly the pretty kitties. Stand your ground and be seen. And I will cast Fairy Fire on top of both of the kitties, ideally.
There's 3.
I thought you said 3 dead ones, 2 live ones, but okay,
3 dead, 3 alive. I may have misspoke.
It's okay. It's like a 20-foot radius or something.
Okay, 2 have definitely passed natural 17, natural 18. But one of them has a 10.
That is not enough.
So you see the one that hasn't, one of the ones that hasn't been hit yet is bound by Fairy Fire.
Okay. So though he's still shifting, I guess like the Fairy Fire is like clinging to his
Only
true
on the
form.
actual one rather than the illusions.
Yeah,
and so it's easier to hit.
Yay!
Ezra, you are now in combat with these, and they are all turning to growl at you, ignoring the Kuatl on the floor.
Oh, is it that badly injured? That is. I see.
Yeah, it is near death.
Oof.
Ooh. But it's not dying. It's just near death.
It's not dying. It is like sub 5 hit points.
And okay, but they're turning to us.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to attack the one that's fairy fired
Okay.
with both my strikes for a 23
Hits.
and an 18.
Hits.
12 points of damage on the first one.
Okay.
And 11 on the second.
So you just slice into this creature, and while it's still flashing these illusions at you, you are able to just cut across its sort of ebony-colored hide. Is that your turn?
Yes.
Indra.
There is still one pretty kitty that is not all fuzzy wuzzy yet, so I'm going to shoot it. 17 to hit.
17 hits.
15 points of damage.
Sure. Was this the one that you were hitting before?
If it wasn't disadvantaged yet.
Okay, yeah, it's still disadvantaged. Or so you're hitting the one that's still disadvantaged.
Or the one that I didn't have to roll disadvantage for.
There's one you've hit which you don't have to roll disadvantage.
That one then.
There's one fairy fire that you don't have to, and there's one that you do have to.
The one that I hit.
Okay.
Still up.
Yep.
It is going to 14 to hit.
That hits.
16 damage.
Damn, it is just up. It's like limping heavily and blood is pouring from it, but it is still alive.
Go back to shadow, stupid kitty.
Delicious. Muted, Morgan.
Oh, damn it. There's still one that's fuzzy, right?
Yeah.
All right. Lucius will sort of sit back on a large boulder and fishes out these set of pipes. You can all hear this strange, haunting sound. It doesn't sound like your typical pipes. It sounds raspy, sort of guttural, and this purplish sort of smoke hazes from it, starting to wrap itself around this critter in the distance. I'm going to use Dissonant Whispers, so it needs a Wisdom save, DC 15.
Wisdom save.
I now want a spell called Dissonant Whimpers.
I know.
That is a 5, sir.
A what?
A 5.
A 5? Oh, jeez, that's good enough. What is it? 3d6. 11, 12, 13, 14 damage, psychic damage.
14.
And has to move away from me at full speed.
Okay. So it just turns and begins taking off down the cavern. That is going to be 40 feet of movement away from you guys. The other two, rounding on Og and Ezra, are going to take their attacks. Ezra. That is going to be a 21 and a 17 to hit.
21 hits, the 17 misses.
Okay. And as it drives past on its motorbike, it is
That
going
was running away.
Yeah. It is going to be 9 points of bludgeoning damage and 3 points of piercing damage. The tentacle kind of smashes into you like a club, but then you feel that there's almost like teeth as part of it, and they just bite in to your skin. One is going to attack Og, and he is not yet raging. Those are 2 hits because Og has no AC. And that is going to be 14 for the first attack and 13 for the second attack on Og. And he's going to take full damage there. So you see the other one just latch on, and you see these 2 like massive kind of oblong-shaped wounds in his chest. And then at the end of their turn, the ones that have been hit now grow fuzzy once again, and they are hard to see. Og is going to rage and then take his attacks to strike back at the one who hit him, hitting both times as he swings with his axe for... It's going to be a total of 18 points of damage on that one, which is the one that was verified. So that is going to be... Okay. And now it is Solanum's turn once again.
So he traveled a little bit of a distance. He didn't like get up in their face, but I imagine he was like marching forward on his previous turn. Within this turn, could I get 35 feet towards the coatl?
Yep. Though the displacer beasts are between you and it.
Okay, right. So they're directly... Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. He's going to start trying to navigate towards a flank then with this turn.
So the way I sort of see it is like the round pool is directly in front of you, and they were on the far side of that. So there's a sort of corner to get to it, or you could go across the pool. It doesn't look that deep. You could wade, but it would slow you down. So you still couldn't get there in a round.
Sure.
Or you could go the other way around the pool, but that will take you a dash as well.
Sure. He's going to head for the other side of the pool, but at a walking pace. And because the last time we met something in the pool, it did not go so well. Also, he's not a very strong swimmer. And he
about 20
Why
feet.
not?
I mean, just having the one arm. He risked his life to save you out of the last pool. He doesn't want to drown in this one. He's going to throw a frostbite at the one that he fairy fired as in passing, as he is hobbling as quickly as he can towards this giant angelic beast. So, Constitution, sir.
Constitution. That is going to be a natural 3 for a 6.
That is not enough. I actually did 6 damage to you and disadvantage on your next attack.
He will take 3.
No! How dare you? And he's carrying on. Hobble, hobble.
And, of course, it is then the turn of Ezra.
And she's going to take slashy slashies at the fairy fired one. Oh, no, she's not.
It has a real low AC.
Well, I rolled 2 attacks. One was a 2 on the dice, and the other one was a 1.
Those will probably miss.
Yeah, because they're going to be a 9 and an 8.
Not that far off, but they do miss. And so if that's your turn, then Indra.
Okay. The one that I've been working on, is it dead?
It is so close to death.
Okay. But it's fuzzy again, yes? Or is it one of the fair-fired ones?
It is fuzzy.
Okay. That, she's going to miss with a 12.
That does miss.
Okay.
Just.
Okay. They both miss.
Oh,
Indra gets all like takes one shot, then like her smile fades, and then she takes the second shot and it goes wide again, and she just like gets like this, like her cheeks flush purple from anger, and she starts like marching down towards to get closer to the displacer beast.
Oh, you don't want to be on the receiving end of an Indra pout. Sounds like a terrible time. Imagine this is a small little storm cloud or something in her hair.
She's
Lucius.
yeah, her hair is like doing like that thrashing.
She looks like she's been struck by lightning. Lucius.
You know, Indra, you have to aim up a little more. These things, I believe they are called pandas, if I recall correctly. I'm quite positive of that. But aim a little bit higher, eh?
Pandas?
Yes, something like that. Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you.
What was that?
That was, yeah, my comparable to Ezra's rolls. I got a 1 and a 3.
Oh my god.
Take this and
Amateur
let me show you. Indra. Wait. Well,
shoot
that's
all.
what these damn pandas sometimes they get a bit scurry and they move around. I'll show you in a minute. Let me reload.
Maybe you didn't say it right. You say or if you do it the right way, maybe your magic will work again.
Maybe, yes.
So Morgan, I have to ask that dissonant whispers. Is it? It just had to move away. Can it come back?
Let's see. Use this reaction if available. It has to move away at your full speed. Of creatures, it doesn't say. Let me look up the full spell to see if it's any different.
Reaction.
Yeah, it's just a reaction. Yes, so it doesn't have any lasting effect. So yeah, it's just a reaction.
Cool. Okay, then it charges back.
The panda's coming back.
So the one that Indra has been hitting is gonna take his attacks against Og. That's a miss and a miss. Oh my god, that was awful. That was a 4 and a 5.
Amateur hour.
The other one is going to attack Ezra. Those are okay. A 19 and a 25.
It's
I assume the 19 misses there, yeah?
yep.
Okay, you take 10 bludgeoning and 6 piercing. Damn, that was max damage.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
The other one is going to come in and also attack you as it returns. You'd be closest.
Damn, my sass.
That's a fucking natural 1 and a natural 2. So it starts running. It gets up such a speed that it just can't actually stop in time to get to you and kind of falls into the pool. Og is going to take his attacks. Okay, 1 hit, 1 miss. And he is going to go for the one that Ezra has been striking. And he is going to split its head in half with a hefty swing of his axe.
Is it the one that Ezra was striking?
Yes, it is now dead.
In the target
Indra was
Indra's
striking.
wrath.
My bad.
Oh, damn. Okay. Kill stealer.
And with that, it's Solanum's go. You're muted then.
Oh no, maybe a panda got him.
Dan?
Did a panda get him?
Did the panda get Solanum? Dan.
I don't know if it'll help, Rob, but I know the other night when I was doing this, well, these people are getting muted, but if I had to mute and then unmute people for them to like get it to work again.
It's his like mic muted though, not a Google mute.
Oh,
Because it makes that little whistle
Yeah.
noise. So, all right, Solanum says something poignant. Ezra.
Is there one that I can hit without rolling disadvantage? Like, is there fairy fire one still up?
Yeah, the fairy fire one is still in front of you.
All right, I will take 2 strikes at him. What the 15 might hit, but I don't think the other natural one is going to hit.
Yeah, the 15 hits.
For a whopping 7 damage.
7 damage. This displaced beast is still alive.
Yeah, because my dice have betrayed me.
mine too. I feel bad.
The coup. And yeah, you just slice into it. Indra.
Indra is going to use her bonus action to transfer the hex onto the fairy fired displace beast.
Okie dokie.
Then she's going to fire off 2 arrows. Get another 2 on the dice.
Oh,
What is going on?
Yeah, I don't even have disadvantage, just rolling like shit. That's better. That's a 27.
that will hit.
That is going to be 13 points piercing damage.
13 points.
Yes. And how far away is Indra now? She moved up a little bit.
Depends how far she moved up.
Um,
Full movement.
yeah, she would have used full movement last round. So
Okay,
what?
so 30 feet.
30 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, she's going to move up another 15.
Okay. Is that your go?
Yes.
Solana.
Bonus action, and movement.
Dope. Solanum is back, I believe.
Surprise, Solanum!
Oh god!
Jumps out the mushroom cloud.
I was invisible this whole time. What's the displacer beast? Is there still 3 of them?
One is dead. The one Indra was hitting. One is looking rough. One is kind of floundering.
Is the rough one the one with my fairy fire on it?
The rough one is the fairy fired one, correct?
Okay. If I keep hobbling around to this coatl creature,
You can get to it.
I can get to it. I will hobble around to the giant, majestic, feathered serpent.
Yeah. It dwarfs you, and it's probably close to like 20-25 feet in length.
You said it fought the darkness. Do I have, now being so close to it, do I have odd flashes of remembrance of seeing these things back in my youth?
You remember like legions of them all flying together. You remember that there was like a giant towers, and they were sort of like circling them, trying to protect, firing off magical beams of light, doing what they could, and giving up their infinitely long lives to save mortals where they could. These were like the purest good creatures that we across.
He will lay his withered, gnarled old hand or something. It's probably not that withered being an elf, but his aged hand upon the scales, and in Sylvan or something, he will say, I thought your radiance gone from the world. It's dim. Its glow lessened, dimmed during that darkness. I'm glad to know it has not gone out, and he will cure wounds the creature.
You see the wounds across it kind of seal up. and you see it sort of roll its head and kind of stretch out, and you see it kind of uses its wings to like push itself up to a more sort of reared up position like a traditional snake. And you'll hear its voice in your head, like a very calm whisper. And it just says, "Thank you, Elf." And then it is going to reach out with its tail and take a grasp of one of the displacer beasts and begin crushing it.
It gained 14 health, by the way,
Thank you.
because it was level 2.
Nice. Yeah, so it you see its tail like wrap around the displacer beast's middle and just begin to squeeze. And this thing is like bulging and scrabbling against it, but you can see a determination in the Coatl as it begins to kill this displacer beast. Aloysius.
So what's left? The one with the fairy fire?
There's one with the fairy fire. The one in its tail isn't dead yet, but it's going that way.
Yeah, I'll go for the fairy fire one then. Holy crap. Ooh, nice. I have 17, 21 to hit, and an 8, 9, 10 damage.
10 damage, very nice. It is still alive, but your arrow flies through and strikes a flank.
Well, it'll strike in there then, and you'll hear this panda scream, I guess, from this thing. I'll burn one of my inspirations to do another 2d6. Psychic, 6.
6?
Yep.
It is still alive. You can see it's like thrashing its head from side to side.
These damn pandas, they tend to stick around a bit the end. Hurry up and kill it. Hurry up and kill it.
But it's going to take its 2 attacks against Ezra. It's going to be a 13 and a 26.
13 is a miss, 26 is a hit.
7 bludgeoning, 6 piercing, 13 all up. And the other one is going to struggle against the Coatl. The Coatl still beats it easily. And it'll take a 2d6 damage on the Coatl's turn. So Og's turn. Og will turn and take 2 attacks. Oh, shit. Throw his dice around. That's going to be 2 hits. Oh my god. He rolled 2 10s on his d10s. You see Og just like roar and just take like an upward and then a downward strike and just split this thing in 2. Until the only one left is thrashing against the Coatl's tail. Slowly dying. It looks to be on kind of bloodied and broken. Almost dead, but not quite. Now it is Solanum's turn.
He is filled with memories of the past, I guess, and hearing this creature's voice, I imagine he possibly heard it previously. Creatures like this. He is. I think there might be like a tear that runs down his face, and then he's going to attempt to frostbite the displacer beast.
Very well.
Con save.
Natural 1.
Okie dokie. Take 6 points of frost damage and disadvantage on next attack, because apparently I can't roll anything more than average.
Ezra.
I will take 2 strikes at the...
Advantage on these as well.
Okay. 28
Hits.
and a 15
Hits.
for 6 damage and 12 damage.
Describe how you kill this thing in the Coatls.
So I'll just, as he's kind of like struggling, I'll just walk up and take a slice up and then down, and a downward strike and just split it in 2.
Very nice. And so all goes quiet, and you see the Coatl kind of like swaying slightly, breathing, closes its eyes, takes a moment, then regards you all, and it speaks again into your minds, and you can hear the calm, soothing voice. You saved my life. You have my thanks.
It was the least we could do.
Kind of immediately turns its head in your direction, Indra. Yes. I can see something more drives you.
A life precious as yours with shame to waste.
My life is no more precious than the life of any of you, or any of the plants that grow behind you. Life is life.
Well, that is true. There is not many of you left.
I thought they were all gone.
We are few. But it only takes one candle to light against the dark.
You speak of that candle. We've journeyed far from safety, from home. We seek a sunken tower. Remind an old elf. You and your kind used to guard such.
Yes. You seek the observatory. The Solarian Observatory.
The Solarium.
It is near to here. But it is guarded heavily, overrun with darkness. But maybe it will be you who bring about the new age of light.
He kind of like looks to the younger members of the group. Some of us, perhaps. If it is guarded by the dark that never truly left, this will be much harder than I thought.
There are two things you will face before you may restore the light. Two relics of the eclipse. The first is the keeper of the sunken gate. Its name is long and ancient. We called it Nidahar Lotalet Thalon. Though that does not quite translate, I think. It is the keeper of the gate, and you will have to face it before you gain entrance to the observatory. The second thing you must face is older, darker. I do not know exactly what it is.
I think Sol shivers at those words spoken. I imagine like he heard the cries of those creatures or something during the eclipse, the language. Or just memories of those things.
But I would not have you face these horrors alone. I would not have you go unrewarded for your honorable and kind pursuits. I tell you this, each of you may choose the gift I will give you. You may choose knowledge, strength, or grace. And I will invoke some of that ancient light that we still have. You, Indra.
Yes.
Which of those do you choose?
Knowledge, strength, or grace?
Yes.
I'm already pretty graceful. But I think, yes, grace.
Very well. Roll me a d10.
Ooh, let me get a D10 out. What color? 4.
Okay. You see, Kuatl ducks her head, and there is a glowing light that emanates from a spot in her forehead, and it blinds you all for a moment, and then when it fades, you see that lying before her on the ground is a folded, golden colored chain shirt. It is Elven Chain.
Thank you so much.
You're
It's
welcome.
very pretty.
What about you, Lucius? Knowledge, strength, or grace?
I'll look at Indra and at the others. Well, I've always been told that power comes from knowledge. Yes. I choose knowledge.
Roll me a d10.
Ooh, 2.
She lowers her head. That light flares up. And when it fades, you see a small bottle lying before you. And she looks up at you and says, "Ah, that is interesting. Seems the light knows what you will need. It's a potion of water breathing."
Well, thank you. I think. I'll bend down and pick this up, sort of looking at it in the light that flickers around. And I had a friend once who had a bottle like this. He was a good man. Bushy blonde beard, bit of long hair. He died. I'll slip it into my pack. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ezra,
I would ask for strength.
Roll me a d10.
8.
Oh, interesting. When the light fades, you see in its place a horn. And the Kuatul gives you a small grin and says, seems you will have much power behind you. That is a horn of blasting.
Thank you.
And she turns to Og and she says, and you? He says, strength. And she does the same. And this time, when she fades, there is a very large hammer in its place. And she says, this was fashioned by the dwarves of Underhearth. May it serve you well. As he receives a dwarven thrower. And finally, Solanum the healer.
There is only one gift this old elf wants, and that is of knowledge. And I rolled a 10.
Okay. She says, to you, Solanum, I will give the greatest gift I can. And when the light fades, there is a brilliant white but plain robe lying at your feet. It is a robe of the Archmagi.
Oh, okay. Just one of those then. He bows before the creature, holding onto the staff as he goes down, and then he's going to bundle the robe in his one arm into some sort of strap, and then he is going to pull himself back up again.
And she says, remember why you wear it. Remember why you are here.
We are the candle that brings the light.
When Indra, as you kind of hold up the piece of chain, you see that wrapped in its folds is the true gift you have received. Not the chain itself, but rather a ring. It drops to the floor in front of you. You pick it up, and you immediately feel a further warmth from it. It is a ring of regeneration.
Oh, okay, dope.
That is your true item. In place of the elven chain.
Thanks.
You are welcome. And so, with that, Kuatul rears her head up and she says, my name is Kalotl, and I hope these gifts suffice as repayment for saving my life. And with that, she'll beat her wings a few times and take off into the cave.
Sol will say, under his breath, "We needed none."
And you feel a warmth in your mind. No words, but you know she heard you.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very pretty snake.
There used to be many of them in the sky.
What is she doing down here, do you think?
Oh,
Oh,
Blimey.
whatever that was.
Yeah.
into some badass tunes.
From our washer.
I surviving, I guess. Her kind thought dead for so long. They must still work for the favor of the light.
Well, it is a very good thing that we came this way.
Perhaps down here with the forest or something. But yes, that is always why you kill pandas when you come near them.
Panthers.
I'm glad I could see such a sight. Of the coatl, at least. And he's gonna just like take a moment reflecting on the resplendence and the gift, maybe on a stone or something, the large rock by the pool.
At this point, it's getting to roughly what you would guess to be around nighttime above the surface. You've been traveling for hours, and you've been through many scrapes. You can continue to push on if you want. Stop for the night.
If we stop for the night, can I see if there is anything in the pool like there was in the tree?
Okay.
Excellent idea. Excellent.
Another fishing trip.
Yeah, Indra is going to carefully remove the pouch of mushrooms so that they don't get wet. And then she's going to make like a big show of going like and then just jumping in because
Make me an investigation check.
oh, Indra is probably the worst person to do this. Does she have any help in any way?
Look over there, my girl. Something's coming. It's moving right for you.
Okay.
I have one inspiration die left. I'll give it to you.
Okay, it'd be a shame for this to go horribly since I'm like the one that can breathe underwater. Oh, that's a kraken.
Oh,
So that's a 20 with the inspiration makes it 23 minus 1 for 22.
So, for the natural 20 then, I'll be a kind and generous DM.
Find another coatl.
Yeah. You find the coatl farm. Why don't you roll me a d6?
Roll a d6
and then a d10.
and then a d10. Oh, so many dice. We'll go fairy dust for both. The d10 is a 4 and the d6 is a 1.
Okay. Okay. So you swim to the bottom and you find a great deal of very large mussels, the shellfish, all looking closed up tight, but far larger than you would see above the surface normally. And nestled in beside them, you see kind of stuck and partially overgrown is a severed skeleton of a hand, just kind of locked in place in the bottom of this pool. And on the first finger, you see a ring. It's a faint blue color, and it's got waves kind of inlaid into it in a bright red.
I am going to get it.
Very well. You take the ring and swim to the surface.
I'm going to take some of the mussels as well.
Okie dokie. You can,
because she's kind of jealous that the Lucius got to go fishing, so she's going to do some fishing herself.
Yeah, you're able to get a good amount, enough to feed all of you easily. There's a lot down there.
Very good. Excellent with these mushrooms.
I do make a point of not getting the ones directly next to the skeleton hands. Just
They're
because.
the biggest, though.
Huh?
They're the biggest, though.
No, yeah, no.
Okay. And when you reach the surface, everyone sees Indra carrying a handful of shellfish, and her hand is clutched around a fancy-looking ring.
I found dinner and I found another ring.
Seems to be your day. Mushrooms and mussels.
Make an excellent soup.
What kind of ring is it?
So
Does it have a inscription?
there is no inscription that you can see, but it is a ring of swimming.
Obviously broken.
Well, it was removed from the person who wore it. So that is unfortunate for them, but good for us. Would anyone else like it? I perhaps do not need. Does it let you breathe underwater, or is it just swimming?
No, it's swimming speed, I think.
Oh,
Lucy, I saw from the corner of his eyes and his one arm.
yeah. Solanum, this will be good for you for the next time you have to save me from a giant crab. And she, like, and she just like takes like your good arm and like slips the ring onto one of the fingers, like not even asking permission. She just does it.
Hey, it's lucky he's sitting down. He admires the ring.
Your swimming speed is now 40.
Oh, right.
And that is what it does.
Very well.
In its entirety.
If anyone wants seconds, I may still ask you to go down there instead of me. I can only get one armful at a time. And he's got like a little wry grin on his face.
There were lots of really good ones. The biggest ones were near the hand that I found that, but I didn't think that anyone would want to eat the mussel that may have also eaten somebody's hand.
Yes,
Sounds very good.
Nature is a cycle of one thing eats another.
Well, still, I thought perhaps we could pretend that we were not quite so in the middle of it, I suppose.
People often do. People often do. And he like taps his nose knowingly. Like, you can think outside the circle, but it doesn't mean you're outside of it.
Yeah. And Brett's very good at at forgetting.
Mhm.
All right. So you cook and eat the mushroom and
And the muscles.
the mussels.
Make an
And
excellent soup.
it is good. The mushrooms especially taste very good. And there are no adverse effects, though you feel very much fuller than you were expecting to. And there's sort of like a warmth in your bellies as you bed down for the night. May I have the order and duration of your watches, please?
Are we taking watches separate or are we taking watches together?
There is only 5 of us.
I don't mind. Do you want to go first because you don't have so much dark vision? Inora?
Well, it doesn't really matter when I take my watch because I won't be able to see at any time because it's a cave. But if I could take the last watch, then I could cast Hex as I woke up and then maintain the concentration on it for the first 8 hours of the day.
Okay. I can take first watch then.
Very well.
Well, I guess I'll take first and second because I only sleep 4 hours anyway, so I'll be up for the next person as well.
So if you all do 2-hour watches, then that's 8 hours each. Right? I think we figured that out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I'm going to be there for 1 and 2.
yeah, so you can either spend that time, the first 2 watches, with someone, or just take them yourself. I'll leave that up to you guys if anyone wants to sit with Solano on one of his watches.
I'll sit with him on one of his watches.
Oh. Grabs your cheeks. I'm just going to ask, the Robe of the Magi is for Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard only? Is this a special Coatl Robe of the Magi? Cool.
Fuck that.
Fuck that noise. So he is...
You could give it to me. No, I'm kidding. Oh, hey, if you give her the robe, she could give you the ring and you could regrow your arm.
I was thinking about that when I put it in the table.
Okay. He has no idea what ring you got.
No, that's
Is
true.
it the Ring of Regen actually regens?
It does regrow limbs.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think like after like dinner and like Indra has grown attuned to it and she like realizes what the Coatl gift does, she is going to go over to Solanum and pick up your good arm again, pick up your good hand again, and she's going to slip it on a different finger, and she is going to say, I think this one was meant for you and not for me. The Coatl has another gift for you.
I don't know if the Coatl can make mistakes. Are you sure it isn't for you?
It is most definitely for you.
If you don't want it, so I'll trade you my snorkel. He'll show you the little bottle of water breathing he has.
He isn't sure.
She gave you the impression that she didn't choose the gift herself, particularly. It was sort of invoking the light to see what it felt.
Sure, but it doesn't mean that he can't have reference for this creature.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
There's just a little more context to the decision.
Sure. I know we randomly rolled the dice, but that doesn't mean that you can't believe it doesn't have method
Of course.
to its madness.
If you don't want it after like a week or so, you can always give it back. But I think you'll be rather fond of it by then.
He's like looking curiously at you. I can carry it. I can carry both of these.
Yeah. And like she'll kind of like press like her hands around yours again, and she's going to like look at Solanum, and she's going to say, the prices you paid in the past, it is time they are be given or refunded. There's a word that works better. Only C didn't like Indra didn't actually flub the cool line.
Oh, I knew what you meant. Now I have to find a reason for him to only have 5 strength and 2 arms.
I mean, he's going to be Mr. Wonderful for a few years while he gets his muscle strength back.
So I rolled the D6. So it's going to take only 2 days, the minimum,
Okay.
for your arm to fully grow back if you do wear it.
Okay,
so you wake up, if you are going to wear it and attune to it, you wake up the next morning, you've got half-sized arm.
I imagine that is terrifying.
It does specify though regrow and return to full strength. So I think to save the strange visuals of that, your arm is grown back, but it is extremely weak. Whenever it is.
Okay.
When you are attuned to it and you spend a day.
So a take my strong hand situation then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Indra seemed very keen on him having it, and he's not going to refute her because she, as you know, some sort of strange connection, and whatever version of her that speaks his name. So he is more than willing to humor her by wearing it.
He will be rather attached to it by morning, I think.
So he will wear it. I don't think he's as willing to give up his robe, if that's what
no
wanted, but
nope.
He puts great purpose in the gift that he was given, I guess, being a man of prophecy. So cutting to the watch, I had a scene in mind.
Of course, go for it.
So sitting by the lake, I imagine it is peaceful. And time passes a little bit. Ezra?
Yes?
Would you help an elf into his gift divinely given? And he kind of like pulls from a strap or something where the robe has been sitting. I'm not sure I can do it myself.
Oh, absolutely. And she'll begin helping me into the robe.
So he hasn't, because he hasn't been sitting. I don't know if he's attuned to it just by having it with him, but or it would take time to learn of it. I imagine it is divine, some sort of satin, cashmere, crazy high thread count, something or other.
Yeah, it is incredibly comfortable.
I'm curious, do I remember disciples of the Coatl wearing this, or people related to them, or have I ever seen anyone wear something like this before?
Not necessarily disciples of the Coatl, but you definitely, there is something in the back of your memory, a robe similar to this, worn by the highest echelons of those who fought for the light, the people who could with a wave of their hand, open the sky and bring forth a great burst of sun just with their will. It was worn only by the truly impressive, the true champions of the light.
This reminds me of the time we stood against the darkness. And it is so strange and to have lived so many years and to see a beast of forgotten memory and these robes. They held great power to and were worn by those of the same. I don't know what it is to receive a gift from one as knowledgeable as that creature.
Well, I think the gift was well placed. And she'll kind of catch the hem of the fabric and kind of rub it between her hands. I do think it was well placed. And kind of finish straightening it.
I've never been one for such fine things. You know that. And there are many who seek what little luxury this world has left. I've forgotten what it was to feel something quite so soft.
Just kind of smile at that.
Sorry, you go.
I did want to ask you something, though. Do you
Please.
trust all of our allies that we travel with?
He looks at those sleeping. They were willing to leave all that they knew behind. And come with an old elf who sees things that aren't there, and his granddaughter of such strength, and to venture and to see things that we could barely dream of. You doubt their intention?
I don't know what it is. Twice now I've heard Indra speak with the different voice that is not her own. And she acted as if she knew you.
That is, for all the strange things we have encountered, perhaps the strangest. There is a familiarity there, and I have little idea why.
All right, well, if you trust her on whatever level that is, I trust you. So
He smiles at that. I think this trip will bring many answers, and I hope before the end we learn the answer to that. Surprises are not always malicious. Sometimes, and he looks at the rings on his hands and the sleeve or something, the cuff of this. You find blessings. And he looks to the. I imagine it looks super regal. The horn that you have around your side. I've not seen craftsmanship that fine for a long time. And he kind of like motions towards the horn.
I hope it's the strength that I asked for.
Or perhaps you are that strength. And what you carry will only help you. Help us.
Perhaps.
And he like looks out across that lake. Maybe he. I'm gonna roll. He's gonna like pick up a stone and skip it across the lake. I'm just gonna add my dex mod, so that's over. So that was a 13.
Yeah.
So I imagine he gets a few jumps.
Yeah, skips 4 or 5 times.
Ezra,
And
grab a smooth one a bit. How long has it been since we've done this? And she'll kind of give it a toss.
I think.
Horrible.
I mean, you could do it with strength if you want. I just wanted to add one of my better modifiers to a terrible roll.
Still only going to be an 11.
Okay.
It's good enough. I think it just as well.
Since you are much smaller, since you are about, and he kind of like holds out his hand. I think this high. And I don't know, maybe when you were like 6, 8, I don't know.
Probably.
The world doesn't leave him a lot of time for skipping stones, and he like finds another one. I do know one thing, and he's going to skip it. Ooh, that's better. 18 with a modifier. Maybe goes almost to the end of the lake. You're the strength that I asked for. Oh, no, horn.
I hope I can live up to the faith you have in me.
You've already wrestled with considerable foes. The Horiadex, and that great spider, and those shadow cats. And you have taken all of them head on with no fear.
You know that's not the only strength a person requires to survive a trial like this. She'll skip another stone. Pretty good.
It's not, but it's a good start. A very good start. I have a good feeling until we reach the tower. That is, the creatures of the dark, pale in comparison to the dark itself. And he kind of like tenses a little bit, like trying to give him some sort of strength, and you maybe see like the flicker of horror in his eyes. We all have to be so much stronger.
We will be.
He like leans over from his rock to your rock and like grasps you like on the knee, and he's like he sort of like grasps you and like looks into your eyes and just goes and like his fingers are shaking a little bit. So much stronger. and you see like maybe there's, he's a little pale in the complexion. And there's
We
like
will
a
be.
weak smile.
We will be.
That weak smile is, I think you can probably see through it. There are memories there. And I presume being quite heavy on the charisma, you're reasonably perceptive, like charismatically. I think like you've known him to, yes, he's been sometimes dour or thoughtful or quiet or something, but he's usually, especially around you, like optimistic. And I don't know. There is insightfulness, but also there is that support. There is a belief, and this is maybe the one few times that you've seen doubt, an unspoken doubt, not necessarily specifically in you, but just in general doubt.
I imagine seeing that kind of makes Ezra uncomfortable, and she'll kind of turn away and just kind of stare off at the little pond.
I think he'll probably stare at the pond for a little while as well, and time passes, and then maybe at the corner of your eye, you hear and see the sploosh, sploosh, sploosh of another stone. Like after like 10 minutes or more, or something, like quite a long time. He's gone back to errantly throwing stones.
She'll definitely join him and start a little competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good spot to end it tonight. We can do the watches at the start of next session.